Welcome back. In this video, we're going to set up the home screen, which should look something like this, where you see we have these different options, actually this one, where we have these different options where we can scroll through them on the side or via scrolling to the side and also to the bottom. So you see we have basically this very interesting kind of view. So let's set all of that up. Therefore, I'm going to create a new view or a new file, which I'm going to call home view. Now this will be a composable fun home, which is going to be using the experimental foundation API, but we're going to take care of that later. So I first need the categories. So categories, which is going to be a list of items. So here it's just going to be hits, then happy, and so forth, right? So basically you see all of these categories: hits, happy, workout, T-shift, yoga. Okay, so I want to have that. So let me just paste those in here. So workout, running, T-shift, yoga. And then I want to have another list, which will be called group, which will be a list of strings. So here I'm going to define it being strings. And it will contain new release, top rated, and so forth. Okay, so here, new release, favorites, top rated, and they will be grouped. There's this method called group by index 0. So it, which will be the group, so you can see here like so, it is going to be the string itself, and I'm going to say it should be grouped by the first letter, so to speak, because if you take a string, it's basically like an array of characters, and if you take the first entry of a string, then that's the first character. Okay, so now we can create a lazy column here, which will have content, but I'm going to put that like so directly. Okay, and I'm going to group it again with a for each. So you see I get a lazy list scope, which is a list. So I can group this list with a for each loop and then say what I want to do with each of those items. So for each, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a sticky header, which will take the text, and I need to import text here. Okay, and this will be composable text. The text will have a value, which will be it.value at position 0. And then a modifier, which I'm going to set to modifier.padding with 16 density pixels. Let's import density pixels. Let me see, import modifier as well, and recompose, and padding as well, as it seems. So that's going to be the text that I want to have in my sticky header. So let's look at what this means. So you see here, the headers, they are pretty sticky, right? Those ones. And I want to use those headers, and then I want to be able to scroll around. So this is my sticky header that then also needs to have a lazy row in it, in our case, so that I can swipe also to the side. So the lazy column is basically the part that allows us to scroll up and down like so. And the lazy row, each of those will have a lazy row, which allows us to scroll to the sides. Okay. And you see, I'm using always the same. I'm using always hits, happy, workouts. It's always the same thing. So here I'm using the lazy row, and I'm going to say items, categories, and here I'm going to get the category, which I'm going to use as a browser item. Now we will need to define what such a browser item is, because basically it's this block, right? So if you look at it, this is what the block looks like, basically having a little icon in it, and above it you have a little text, and then basically it's surrounded by this box. So again, I'm not sure whether I explained it well. So if you go to the home screen, you see that this favorites text is sticky, even though I'm swiping to the side. That's what the sticky header does inside of my column. So we have this lazy column, which will still push it towards the top and bottom, but then on the level where it is, it's going to be sticky, and the lazy row that is inside of it will still be able to move. So the text doesn't move with the lazy row that we're creating. So now the items will be our categories. Now this doesn't work yet because we still have a problem inside of our code, as we have not defined the browser items yet. So let's define what a browser item is going to be looking like. Now you could also call it like home item or whatever, but I'm just going to use it like so. Add composable fun browser item, which will need a category and a drawable that it's supposed to display. So the drawable will be an int. So just a resource, right? Resources you can use as drawables. So now what we can do is we can take the cat as a category. So cat, and the drawable will be drawable dot, or is equal to r dot drawable dot, and what do we call it? Browse screen. Let me see. So now I need to import r dot and baseline apps. I think I used there. And now at this point, I will need to add the experimental foundation API at there. Okay. Now let me just see, why is the categories complaining here? I need to use, well, I need to import the extension function lazy scope items. All right, there we are. So now we're loading in those categories, and for each item like hits, happy, workout, running, TGIF, yoga, we're going to have a separate browser item now, which currently is just empty. So let's design it real quick. So I'm just going to use a card here. This card will, well, let me import card. So import function card, and I'm going to use the top one, not material 3. I'm going to set the modifier to be modifier dot padding 16 dp, as well as size. So I'm going to define the size as, let's say, 200 dp, and I'm going to add a border, which will have a border stroke of a width of 3 density pixels and the color of black or dark gray, I think we used. So color is going to be color dot dark gray. Okay, and then let me put that into a separate file line, and then the card needs content. Okay, so basically, if you look at it, this is a card, this thing here. So it has an text in the middle and an icon underneath, but then surrounded it is with a big black box. It is 200 pixels, density pixels tall and wide. So that's what this size does. And the border stroke, the thickness of the black border is 3 density pixels, and the color is this dark gray. Now the content of it should be a column. So column, we need to import column here. So now the content of that column should be a text, which I'm going to say is going to be the category, and the image, which I'm going to say is going to be painter resource with our drawable, and a content description. Content description. Why is it? Well, I need to use the right image here. So let's import, and the one with a content description, which is the one coming from composable, or the add composable one. So this will be content description. And here we can use the category as well, because it is a string, right? So let's just use cat. So that's the column. Now I can define the column a little bit. I want the items, as you see, I want them to be in the center. I want them to be in both directions centered. So we need to use the vertical arrangement for that to be arrangement center, and the horizontal alignment to be alignment center horizontally. Now we just need to use this home page. So in our main view, we are going to add this home screen. Let's import our home screen from composable home, from a UI theme. Well, it should be in the UI folder, but it's specifically in the UI.u theme folder, which it shouldn't be. We're going to look at that later. But now you see we have the home screen once we click on home. There we are. So now we have new release, hits, happy, workout, running, TGIF, yoga, favorites, and so forth. Okay, so you see we have home, browse, well, browse not, but home. And now you can go ahead and set up browse, which is very similar. So if you look at browse, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Only that you cannot even scroll here. Well, it has a specified 6 options available. So this is not something you shouldn't be able to do. You should be able to set that up yourself as well. So that would be a great exercise for you for the next point. So try to build the browse screen yourself, and then that will be the exercise that will come up after this video. So in the next video, we're going to set up the library. So see you there.